Welcome to News Desk with me, Kemeni Nyamania Aman. On the program this morning, I'm sure we've all been hit by the power crisis in the country. We've had 12 hours go off already, and we're looking at alternative sources we could adopt in the face of the energy crisis in the country. Also, today being March 20 means one thing, and Acquah would announce whether or not he would contest on the ticket of the NPP come 2016. And we'll go live over to his residency in Accra, where my colleague Eric Howard is on standby to bring us up to speed what's happened. We'll also deal with the re-registration of SIM cards. I'm not sure what you think about it, but I still want to know anyway. So send your comments to me on our social media platforms, Joynews on TV, on Facebook, on my personal page on Facebook as well, Kemeni Amano, or on Twitter, I tweet at Kemeni or at Joynews on TV. Let's get into the first issue of the day. And the Electricity Company of Ghana has released its latest rationing schedule applicable for the next 2 weeks. According to the program, consumers will be without electricity for 12 hours every 2 days. Electricity consumers in all but 4 regions will be affected. Take a listen to this report.
The ECG explains the country is currently shedding 160 megawatts of electricity during the day and 350 megawatts at night when most consumers require power. Customers, the PRO says, should be guided accordingly.
What we have done so far in average terms, let's say when you go off 12 hours, you have power 48 hours, 2 days. 2 days. So that's how it's going to run.
Okay.
There's a slight variation in some regions because of the load they are managing. Some regions are smaller regions. For example, in Volta region, they have a very small, their load is very small. Therefore, when they go off for 12 hours, they will have power supply for about 72 hours. In Acquah, when you go off for 12 hours, we give you supply for 48 hours. You understand? So it's not even. It depends. Yes, it depends on the region you are in.
The schedule, he says, has been designed to ensure vital installations such as major hospitals and industrial zones enjoy a reprieve.
The guide is for 2 weeks. This particular load shedding guide that we have published is for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks?
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that the load shedding
will end. No. It does not mean that the load shed is going to end in 2 weeks' time. We are saying that since it's temporal, and then we expect the experts in the generation industry to give us an update of what is going on in the system.
Okay.
We've decided to give you a temporal load shedding guide for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we will do a review. Okay. And then we'll form customers accordingly.
Okay. Some members of the public Joynews spoke to, however, appear unimpressed.
Okay, even with the timetable, I don't think it's the best, because we've been told to pay for realistic prices for better services. We've been paying, anytime you pay, the service in fact deteriorate instead of making progress. You see, so with the timetable, I still see it to be anything like thing of the past. They will make the timetable trying to rectify the situation, but with time the thing will still prolong.
We use PC. All the gadgets that we use is about electricity, but because of this power shortage or something, like we are not able to study. We'll go to class, we'll just be there.
If they are doing the lights like that, it's not good, it won't help us. So they have to try and then on the lights, so that, because last year the president promised us that the light will be on this year, sorry, but we now came into 2014, but still the light is still going off and on.
Only the 3 regions in the north of the country and Brong Ahafo region have been left out of the schedule. Though the ECG is unable to say how long the rationing will continue, the public affairs manager of the Volta River Authority has indicated there should be a considerable easing of the current crisis before the Easter festivities. Etonamse, Joynews.
Right, so now let's try and explore other sources of energy as far as the generating electricity is concerned. To help us do that, I have with me a solar energy expert, Robert Wood. I understand he's also known as engineer. And thank you very much for joining us in the studio, Engineer.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, but
Good.
I'm not sure I'm too well when it comes to electricity in my home. I'm sure you have your own thoughts about the crisis we are faced with now as a country. Share that with us.
Yes. You know, there are many sources of energy that we are entitled to. Now, the sun is the ultimate supplier of all energy to the planet. So if your country is situated near the sun, then you have a bigger advantage over those countries who are far away from the equator. Now, for instance, Germany is on parallel 51. The energy radiance, that is the radiation from the solar, from the sun, is about 1,500 watts per square meter for those near the equator, and then 1,000 watts per square meter for those away from the equator, like Britain, America, and so on. Now, at parallel 51, Germany cannot access more than, say, 1,000 watts per square meter. But Germany is on 34.7 gigawatts, that is 1,000 megawatts, 34.7 gigawatts on solar. Now, you are on parallel 4. In fact, investigations indicate that there are places in Ghana here where you can get up to 2,300 watts per square meter. That is more than twice what Germany can access to.
Places here in Ghana?
Yes. The records are there.
Solar energy?
Yes, solar energy.
Let's look at these places.
The most, maybe I have to bring you a table. The table was actually made by the CSI.
Okay.
You know, but if you can take a minimum of 2,000 watts per square meter. Now, if you're on parallel 4 and you have access to, say, minimum of 1,500 watts per square meter, and you're only accessing 2 megawatts, why somebody who is on parallel 51 is accessing up to 34.7 gigawatts? Then you ask yourself, are those people stupid? Because our claim is that solar is expensive. If solar is expensive, why would the Germans invest so much as to obtain 34.7 gigawatts of solar energy at parallel 51? So people talking about solar being expensive, please, they should forget about it.
But isn't it? It is expensive.
It's not expensive. Now, the Bui Dam costs $622 million. Now, the Bui Dam is giving us 400 megawatts. If you extract that, that comes to $1.56 million per megawatt. But solar is between $1 and $1.5 per watt. And 1 million watts is $1. 1 million watts is 1 megawatt. It means that solar in Ghana should be between 1 to 1.5 million per megawatt, depending on your power backup. But then, recently, they say they are bringing a plan from South Africa or somewhere to generate 700 megawatts. And the price quoted, which I saw in the papers last week, was $2.5 billion. That comes to over $3 million per megawatt. So if you think 1.5 million per megawatt of solar is expensive, and then you are going for coal at over $3 million per megawatt, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, the thermal plants at Acquah, if you extrapolate on the same basis, it would be about $0.56 per megawatt. But see, you have to spend a lot. But even there, it should be possible for us to generate all the fuel that is required. The Acquah can run on vegetable oil. Now, Malaysia is presently producing about 20 million tons.
We'll talk about the Acquah running on vegetable oil, which is also an alternative source of energy. But let's stay on solar.
Okay, good.
How does the panel work? Do we have panels now that reserve the energy after the sun is gone?
The solar is called PV. That is, it's a voltaic system that draws the solar energy and converts it into what they call direct current. But you have a machine called an inverter that will change it into alternate current. You know, so the technology there is so simple that nobody's talking about it. Now,
plus, we don't get to buy the sun. We don't have to buy it.
Yeah, we don't have to buy it. And the sun energy is so strong in Ghana. People are having headaches in the north and so on. There is no question about the availability of the solar energy at all. And I am suggesting to people who have financial power, please invest in solar now, because in maximum 3 years' time, solar will be cheaper than gas, because it's a new system coming that's called three-dimensional solar. You see, the present solar panels, they are two-dimensional. When the sun hits it, it throws away back about 30% of that one. The new solar system is three-dimensional. It takes the radiation from the sun all around until it goes that way. The simple flat one, the sun hits it and then deflects about 30%. And most nations, last 2012, all new energy generation in the United States, 49% went to solar in the first 6 months.
Okay.
So you think the Americans are stupid? India is right now working on a 100 gigawatt solar plant. South Africa is on 5,000 megawatt solar plant. South Africa is is about para 2430, far away from us. And if you chose to go 5,000 megawatts on solar,
okay. What I want us to understand, because for me as a consumer, what I want to know is all these megawatts you are mentioning.
Okay.
How many households, how many communities can it serve?
Okay.
At this point, I'll let you get into that, but at this point, let me just invite Dr. Acquah, who is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Energy Commission, into this conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Acquah, who is over the telephone. Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dr. Acquah, we're discussing alternative sources of getting electricity and energy, basically, into our homes. And we've spoken about the solar energy so far. If that's the way we wish to go, how do individuals go about this?
Well, the sun shines and it can be harnessed. The equipment you need to harness the sun's energy is what we call the solar photovoltaic panel. If you have one either on your roof or anywhere that you can get access to the sun, you can turn the sun's energy into electricity. What we have in the country right now is investors trying to install what we call grid-connected solar systems, which will pump energy from the sun into the national grid. There's another opportunity for individuals to put panels on their roofs, and they will get the energy into their homes.
I see. Now, what role does the Energy Commission play when it comes to looking out for alternative sources of energy?
The Energy Commission is the agency responsible for doing that, so we are fully responsible for it.
I see. And Mr. Wood here was explaining that indeed we are spending a lot more on hydro, and we intend to spend more on coal than if we had decided to go solar, we would be spending.
You know, that argument is made often, but the point is that as a developing country, the energy we need is what we call base load energy. Solar is available from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you cannot use that as a basis for industrial development. You cannot use solar to run a factory.
But there are a lot more to support. There are a lot more households who could live on that, and then we can focus the other bits of the energy sources onto our industries. It doesn't spoil anything, does it?
No, the household energy in your home, for example, today, right now, you are at work. You are not in the house. The only equipment which may be working in your house is your refrigerator. And this is when the sun is at its peak. You don't need all that energy unless you store it in a battery. So if you want to do that, you have to get a storage facility to store the sun's energy whilst you are not using it. And then use it when when you need it.
Dr. Hinkra, so your
Yes.
point about solar energy is, I mean, comparing cost of solar energy and cost of hydro or cost of coal.
No, I've not mentioned cost at all.
Okay.
I'm talking of the technology, the practical use of the technology. We've not come to cost at all. And if you want to discuss cost,
so then the point you were trying to make with what you just said will be, I'm not sure I got it right.
Sorry?
I'm not sure I got the point you were trying to make with all that you just said.
What I'm trying to say is that solar energy on a mass scale will not support the base load. What do you say base load? We mean electricity that is available 24 hours a day without interruption.
I see.
Like Akosombo. Akosombo is available 24 hours without interruption.
Dr. Hinkra, point well made. Point well made. Just hang on for me. Let's get back into the studio and then speak with Robert. Robert, he says that we can't have solar energy on a mass scale because it won't be enough for the face load.
You see, he made a very good point about the fact that you can have it during the daytime. So it means that during the daytime, you can shut down Akosombo to reserve water. You can shut down Abwazi and all those places. But my point is that, why is it that if you look at the world trend, that the whole world appears to be going towards solar? If the argument that is making is true, it means that, excuse me, the world is stupid. Because, as I said, for 2012, 49% of all new energy generation in the United States went into solar the first 6 months.
Okay.
Now, so we have to interrogate this very seriously. And why would Germany go to the extent of getting 34.7 gigawatts of solar energy at Para 51?
Dr. Hinkra?
I heard what you said. You know, if you compare Ghana with all these countries that he's mentioning.
You see, just before we get into the comparisons, he made a point that if you think the energy is so much during the day, then you can stop using the Akosombo and the Abwazi for a while, and then we all use the solar energy, which you say is huge. Or?
Well, let me now bring in the cost element.
Okay.
1 unit of electricity from solar, according to what has been approved and gazetted, is 20.1 US cents per kilowatt hour of solar electricity. We are struggling to pay 11 cents with gas. So if we replace all the electricity during the day with solar, the implication is that the electricity during the day will cost 20.1 cents. So that is something that has to be taken into consideration. And indeed, the Renewable Energy Act places that responsibility squarely on the PURC and the Energy Commission. We cannot afford to flood the system with solar intermittent, which is intermittent, apart from the fact that it's available from 9 to about 4 p.m. In the course of the day, it can go down. When there's clouds, when there is sudden rainfall or anything, the solar generation will go down.
But
so for every kilowatt hour of solar you inject into the system, you need a kilowatt hour of conventional energy to back it up. The countries we are talking about, Germany, United States, the amount of solar in the German system is not more than 5%.
Okay. So
they can afford to play around with massive solar injection. California in the United States has 77,000 megawatts of electricity generation. So if they put in 1,000 megawatts of solar, that is nothing. They can live with it. It will not affect their system. In Ghana, we had a system collapse when we lost Akosombo, 800 megawatts. We lost 5 units of Akosombo at 800 megawatts. We lost the system. The system collapsed.
Right.
So we should be very careful the way we approach it. We have to look at the system stability. We look at the cost, and we are gradually getting there. You can't overnight jump into solar energy.
Dr. Hinkra,
Yes.
First, let's deal with some of the points you've mentioned. Let's start with costs. The cost for solar energy is not supposed to be just a one-time cost of having the system.
Well,
Unlike,
if you want to have it in your house, in fact, we are encouraging that. We are encouraging individuals to have solar in their houses, and very soon we will come out with a scheme to help individuals acquire solar systems, place them on their roofs, and it will support the electricity in the houses. That one we will all encourage it. But if you come to the grid connected systems, the utility scale solar systems, that's where the problem is.
okay. You also mentioned in your previous submissions about the fact that we could conserve this energy in some battery system. Is that not a technology we could use even on the grid system?
It will be very expensive. It will escalate the cost to such an extent that you simply cannot afford it.
More expensive than waiting for gas that never comes, more expensive than the cost of the gas itself, more expensive than the fuel prices that never come down?
Well, if you take it that way, the cost of conserved energy is higher than any of those prices you are talking of. If you don't have electricity at all, it is most expensive energy that you can think about. But the gas, the coal, and all other things that we are talking about, these are practical energy sources that can be deployed. We are looking at the solar, and we have to take solar in gradually. You can't overnight add thousands of megawatts of solar to your system. So we cannot do that. You have to do it gradually.
I'm happy you mentioned the megawatt mystery. How do individuals, how do consumers interpret this megawatt system? So this 1,000 megawatts you've mentioned, how many communities can it serve?
Well, as an example, your refrigerator is just about 100 watts.
Mm-hmm.
So you need 10 refrigerators to take 1 kilowatt. And a megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. So if you take a community, a house, and the demand for a house, if the house has no air conditioner, we are talking of just under a kilowatt demand from a house.
I see. I'm not sure I got the understanding I was hoping to get.
What I'm trying to say is that for a normal house which has no air conditioner,
okay,
and has just a fridge, a television set, and normal light, now we are using the energy saving lamps. So the demand for a normal house would be just between 1 and 2 kilowatts.
Okay.
And a megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. I'm just trying to show the relativity between a mega and a kilo. Yes.
That is the relativity. But
yes.
if a system produces let's say 350 megawatts of energy, 350 megawatts of energy, do we expect it to serve a whole community?
That is, again, the megawatt is a measure of the potential, is the power. When you run that over a period, then you turn it into megawatt hour.
Okay.
So, for example, Akosombo is about 1,000 megawatts. That is the potential it can generate. If you run Akosombo for 1 hour, you generate 1,000 megawatt hours. That is energy.
Okay, let's move away from that briefly and then talk about the fact that you said you were rolling out a scheme that will allow individuals buy solar systems. How soon are we going to see that?
I wouldn't want to jump to that. I just hinted that we are going to introduce a scheme. I'll rather hold my information for now.
We don't know. We're unsure when this will run out. We could say that.
Well, it is within a year, but we need to do our homework properly.
I see.
To make sure that once we launch it, we don't get hiccups.
In doing your homework, what would you be looking at?
We are looking at cost.
Okay.
We are looking at availability. We are looking at the most reliable technology.
I see. Solar isn't the only form of, or the only alternative to our energy crisis. And I'd like for you to hold the line a bit longer. I have here with me in the studio still Robert Wood. Robert Wood is also known as the engineer, and he's the managing director for Acquah, also has expertise in solar energy. You were mentioning earlier about the fact that there were other forms of energy.
Yeah, we have wind in Ghana.
No, before we go to that,
okay.
You mentioned that we could run one of our systems of vegetable oil.
Okay. You see, vegetable oil, we talk about the energy content in the vegetable oil. Vegetable oil has 9,500 kilocalories energy. Now, diesel has 10,200. So you have just about 700 difference.
Okay.
Now, the main problem with the vegetable oil is the temperature at which it flashes, it burns out, and that is around 180 to 200 degrees. The crude oil or diesel, etc., is between 60 and 80 degrees. So if you can redesign your plant so that it fires at that vegetable oil temperature, it will fire. And the world market has a lot of complete engines working directly on vegetable oil. In fact, we exported 2 years ago vegetable oil to Germany because they have a German plant that totally works on vegetable oil. And you must know that for the past 20 years or so, Brazil, about 70% of all new vehicles have been working on ethanol, which can be produced from starch and so on. So all these alternative solutions are there. And if what is called Malaysia presently is producing around 20 million tons, if we had programmed ourselves to produce only even 2 million tons only to meet our energy requirement, we could use that one to fire Abuaze and similar systems. But there are other alternatives that have been in the world for years back. See, you are in the tropical country. Generation of what is called biomass material like wood, etc., is very, very high turnover. You remember that last week or 2 weeks ago when the president spoke, he said that Ghana was consuming 13 million tons of firewood a year.
Robert, let's talk to Dr. Ahinkra again.
Okay.
Dr. Ahinkra.
Hello.
It brings me to the question, what other sources of energy is the Commission looking into? We've spoken about solar, yes, which we hope that would roll out in a year's time. What other sources of energy has the Commission been looking into?
We're looking at all forms of energy: solar, wind, biomass, which includes waste to energy, tidal waves, ocean wave energy, hydro, all forms of energy, nuclear.
And you've mentioned all of them nicely, but which of them are we actually working on?
Currently, we are working on solar, wind. We have already issued licenses for wind farms in the country. We are working on biomass. A company has planted, in fact, they have a vast plantation of biomass in the Afram Plains, and they intend establishing a power plant to run on the biomass that they cultivate. We have other indigenous companies that are they produce a lot of biomass, the oil palm plantation. They are even using it to produce electricity as we speak. So we have not closed our eyes on any form of energy.
Okay.
The oil that Engineer Wood talked about, we are talking the closest or the first thing you can think of in Ghana is palm oil. Palm oil can be cultivated in a big part of the country, and it can be harnessed and used to used as diesel. Indeed, it can be used to replace diesel in engines.
That is the technology. But
yes, it is not a new technology. It's old. It's known
of course
over so many years.
Technology doesn't mean it's new, but are we practicing it to help the system?
Sorry?
I'm asking if we are practicing it. You mentioned about the fact that we have this palm oil we can use to produce diesel and the likes. Are we doing it?
Well, on a large scale, it is not being done. I know there's a gentleman who approached the commission that he can produce oil, sunflower oil, which will replace crude oil for power generation. We linked him up with VRA to produce sunflower oil and supply VRA. It's not been able to produce them because it's agriculture, highly intensive agriculture, because the quantities of oil that you need, you should be able to get a reliable person, a supply reliability. If today you get 20 barrels and tomorrow you don't get anything, then you are not being able to produce your electricity.
So we did nothing about that as well. Let's talk about those you've given licenses for the wind farms. So how many wind farms do we have?
Right now we don't have anything, but we've given licenses for 3. Other 3 license applications are to be considered before the end of next month.
Why do you give license to people who are not ready to work?
Oh, they are ready to work. These people are ready to work.
But we don't have the farms. How long have they had this license?
Have what?
How long have they had this license to?
Oh, it's less than a month.
I see. And with the wind farms, what are we expecting from the wind farms?
You know, before you establish a wind farm, you want to be sure that the area where you want to put establish the farm, you have enough wind to run 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if you will not want to invest in an area where there's wind for 3 months and the rest of the year there's no wind.
But so I would want to assume that you did all that testing before you gave the person the license.
Yes, we had to do that test for over 2 years. We have to measure the wind speed in that area for a period of over 2 years and be sure that that area can harness the wind before we give you a license. Because if you give you a license for an area where you will not get anything, then it's better we don't even do anything at all.
So now what are we waiting for?
We have issued a license and we are expecting them to start the installations in the area and then start generating electricity. So
once they start generating electricity, how much of it are we going to get from them?
Well, so far the licenses issued are for 350 megawatts.
Well, so 3 of them we are talking about.
No, for 1,050. For all the 3.
For all the 3.
For all the yes.
I see. And when we add that to the national grid, how will it change the situation?
Well, Ghana, we are growing at 250 megawatts a year, so that will mean we have supplies for 1.5 years.
I see. Dr. Ingram, I'm going to have you hold the line. I have a biomass expert also over the telephone. Thank you very much for biogas, rather, expert over the telephone. Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk, Don Iden. So, John.
Yes, hello.
Explain to us this biogas technology.
Yes, I have them.
Right, I'm asking that you share with us that technology.
Well, biogas technology is a multi-dimensional technology. It will not only solve some part, a little portion of our energy problem, but it has to do with sanitation, environmental thinking, and also health implications.
All right, so you pick the waste products, is that it? And then you transform it into energy.
Exactly. Biodegradable waste, not all types of waste.
Biodegradable waste.
Waste.
And we have that a lot in this our system, don't we?
In fact, it is overwhelming.
I see.
For example, if I may give you a little example, there is a place called the Lavender Hill in Accra. Every blessed day, over 1,700 meter cube of sewage is dumped there. People argue that, oh, before it gets there, most of the biogas is out already. But do we also consider the environmental hazards that it causes? If we could turn this into gas production, which could give us at least some little energy, electrical energy, we will be solving so much problems simultaneously. We have so many cows walking around within our communities. All what we need to do is to build them crowds. Overnight, they will defecate. You scoop all of that into digesters, and they will produce gas. This gas now can then be turned into electrical energy.
Very well. Turning our waste into gas shouldn't be such a big deal for us, considering that we have a lot of it here in this country of ours. So, Dr. Henkra, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What is the commission doing about this? I mean, what steps have you taken in this regard, Dr. Henkra? Well, I understand I have lost Dr. Henkra, but we'll get Dr. Henkra over the telephone again. Let's check out what we are doing in this regard as a country to try and... Roberts, we do have very cheap sources of energy because we don't have to buy the raw material.
I have explained to you that because of our nearness to the sun, our energy advantage over Europe is huge. Now, there is no vegetable oil crop in Europe that will give you more than 1,000 kilograms of oil per hectare. If you come to Africa, or for that matter Ghana, you have plants that will give you 3,500 kilograms of oil per hectare. So you have a ratio of 1 to 3 against Europe. Europe and so on, there's nowhere you can get more than 1,000 watts per square meter, where we have up to 2,300 as given by the CSR here. So we have an advantage there. So when you talk of energy deficit, and because of what I've said, the biomass turnover is very huge. It's very, very huge that there is no reason for us to look elsewhere for energy source. Now, Dr. Henkra talked about the wind. I am saying that there's a huge wind corridor on the Volta Lake. In fact, it is that wind corridor that is inducing the tidal waves at Kita, Flower, so that's the more reason why you don't have tidal waves, zero tidal at Lome. But they have the same power. Because when the wind carrying from Nigeria, or this rain-laden winds coming there, when they reach the Akosombo area, because of the topography of the land, you see, the Akosombo River is in between two para mountains. The globe is turning at 67,000 miles an hour and orbiting at 1,040. It grabs this wind and reduces it at Kita area. That induces the tidal waves. And that also affects the rainfall immediately. You find that you have more rainfall in Nigeria and Ivory Coast than in Ghana. And this is also the reason why we can have salt here in Ghana. We don't have it in Ivory Coast. So. So the wind is there. The Volta River, when you go there,
and we should be working with it.
Yes.
We should be working with it.
If you go 120 meters here around that side, you get 3 megawatts of power. 3 megawatts. If you use a blade 85 meters.
3 megawatts, which is 3 million watts.
That's it.
So it can serve a whole community.
Now you have, this part is about 1,000 kilometers. So if you put one tower every 300 meters, because the blade is 85 meters, you can put up to 3,300 towers. And at the rate of 3 megawatts, that gives you 9,000 megawatts of power. And if you assume that you lose 66% at every time that there is no time that there will be no wind at all within this corridor.
Okay.
So you assume that 2/3 of that is lost. You are guaranteed 3,300 megawatts of power.
Dr. Acquah, I understand you're back, but you have to go already. So let's deal with the situation quickly so you can go.
Okay.
Biogas is another cost-free way of getting, I mean, quote unquote, the raw material for the process is cost-free. Of getting another source of energy, another form of generating energy. What are we doing in that regard? Do we have any biogas systems?
Well, biogas systems are emerging. There are so many of them in the system right now. The Energy Commission office is fitted with a biogas system. But I must quickly say that you don't construct a biogas system because you want to produce energy. Because the cost to the benefits that you get from energy is so small. You will not, if you compare the benefit to the cost of it, it's not something that you want to do. You would rather take the biogas as a sanitation project. You are solving a sanitation problem. And once that is solved, then the energy becomes a byproduct, which you can then use. I've heard many instances where people have come to construct biogas systems with the sole aim of producing energy, and it tends not to be viable. So we have a lot of waste in our system. Any biodegradable waste can be used to produce biogas, but we look at it from the sanitation point first, and then use the byproduct, which is the energy, and then you can have a lot of energy from it.
Okay. Dr. Acquah, since we started talking about alternative sources of energy, you have given me the impression that most of what is being done is from private investors, individuals who have decided to go into that. Am I right?
Yes.
I'm right.
Yes.
How about government? What advice has the Commission offered?
Again, we have looked at the Commission's policy is not different from what the individuals are using. We will not advise government to build a biogas plant to supply electricity because it is not cost effective. We will rather advise biogas technology to be used to solve sanitation and environmental problems. And then they use the energy as a byproduct. So that is the position.
But that's just one of them.
The Office of the President Flagstaff House is fitted with a biogas technology. Energy Commission Office is fitted with a biogas technology. If you ask Dr. Aidan, who is in contact with you, he built the two systems, and he will tell you the cost of it, and tell you that the cost of a unit of energy generated from that will not justify that investment.
But
the Ministry of Energy ran a system at Apollonia, where we use biogas from cattle droppings and other material to feed a system and human excreta to run a generator for the Apollonia village. There were certain times that we had to go to Tema to bring human excreta to feed the system because the people in Apollonia could not provide enough waste material to feed their own system to generate electricity for themselves. So this gives you an idea of the enormity of the investment, and that's required
we need to dispose of
electricity system.
We need to dispose of that fecal matter anyway. So if Apollonia people cannot give us enough fecal matter, and people from Jamestown can give us enough fecal matter to give Apollonia, we are still cleaning the system, aren't we? But away from that, you're making a sound as though government cannot go into other forms of providing energy besides the hydro and the gas system we have, which unfortunately, I don't know of any hybrid system we have in this country. So that's, now that we don't have gas, take Azogli for instance, we don't have gas, and then that's it for us. We can't run Azogli.
Depends on what you mean by a hybrid system. A hybrid brings energy from various sources. Ghana's system, I'll call it hybrid because we have hydro, we have thermal, now we have solar coming in. And if we get the biomass, we are just improving on our diversity.
I'm talking about a system, for instance, we take Azogli. Couldn't we have had a hybrid Azogli so that Azogli does not have to run on only gas? In the event, as we live now, that Nigeria is not able to provide this contractual gas for us, you know, we can still have a system that is running, but without the Nigerian gas.
Well, to do that, that is why we are talking of coal now. We are talking of nuclear energy. These are huge investments. These are things that technologically involves a lot of thinking, a lot of investment, and a lot of professional input. So we have come from a certain point. We have encountered difficulties. We are trying to solve or resolve those difficulties. But there is no panacea for solving this problem just because we want to have alternative energy. The alternative energy forms we are having are in small bits, and they cannot replace the 2,000 megawatts of energy that we need. We cannot do that overnight. We have to do that gradually. And in any case, there is a cost implication.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, like you said, I mean, this is something we go through, and you told us that indeed the country grows in need of electricity 250 megawatts every year, right?
Yes, we need to add 250 megawatts every year.
Okay. Couldn't we have started the planning from when we realized that?
We started the planning.
Oh, then it's taking too long.
Yes, sometimes you are building and the construction slips. But I can assure you that every effort is being made to correct the imbalance.
Dr. Acquah, I'm going to let you go for your meeting now. Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk. I still have John Iden, who is a biogas technologist, over the telephone, and in the studio with me I have Robert Wood. Robert Wood is also known as the engineer, and he's managing director for Acquah Limited. He has expertise when it comes to solar energy and alternative sources of generating energy, actually. But I'll stay over the telephone and talk to Iden. Iden.
Yes, dear.
You heard Dr. Acquah about the fact that we can't rely on biogas.
Well, that has always been the argument. But the truth is that you need various energy mix to arrive at what you want. You cannot depend only on hydro and solar to achieve what you want to achieve. And so in Europe, they have a basket of all these energy sources, including renewable energy, to meet their demands. If we are saying that waste management is a huge problem for us, and we can now transform this so-called waste into energy, is it not a plus point? Do we always have to transport our fecal matter and go and dump at a cost which never comes back? If you look at all the MMTAs in Ghana, 50 to 70% of their recurrent budget goes into waste management. So if we can now bring that same waste into some form of energy, we would put that money back into the system. On top, we can generate energy. Nobody is saying that biogas can subsidize all the energy demands of the country. But it can play a role.
Okay.
Which is very, very significant. So please, Let us stop that argument and be a bit realistic. We have the waste management program on top of us.
I see. So
we don't know what to do with it. So please let us turn it into biogas.
Very well. It would be fantastic if we can turn all our biodegradable waste, which you and I agree that we have too much of it in our system, into gas. Thank you very much, Aidan, for joining us on News Desk. John Aidan is a biogas technology. We've been talking biogas. With me in the studio on this topic, we'll just wrap up briefly on how we can generate alternate sources of energy. Is Robert Wood. Robert Wood is also known as the engineer.
It's called the crusading engineer.
The what?
Crusading engineer.
The crusading engineer. Right, the crusading engineer.
That's correct.
He's got expertise in solar energy. And you heard the talk with Dr. Acquah.
Okay.
If you were to share your opinion about our conversation, what would you say?
You see, Ghana needs a comprehensive national development agenda. Because all these, if we try to solve the energy situation, energy problem in isolation, it will not work. Because we have serious interlinkages. Now, we've been talking about biomass. That means that you have to deal with agriculture. You've been talking about wind. That comes also on its own. So, in the absence of a clearly defined national development agenda for the nation, we'll be in a crisis. We've been with this problem since 2001. And then we have seen how other nations have resolved their problems. Now, you are presently around 1 million tons of cocoa, dry cocoa nuts. So when you are drying cocoa, you have something called the cocoa sweatings. That liquid that comes out of it, that's material for ethanol. But if you are dealing with 1 million tons of dry nuts, then you can imagine the quantity of that liquid waste. That would have given you high-class ethanol, depending on how you go about it, because you can supply the farmers with tabletop distillation plants. You have to create a certain system to collect.
Why do you, we have engineers in the system, we have people who are sitting in office and are supposed to be, why do you think they are not doing these things? They don't know?
You're a bit young. When the Second World War started, Hitler, he was head of Germany. And he said that the kind of airplanes available those days, if you're going to fight the world, those type of airplanes will not be suitable. He created a workshop down on the ground. Brought was to give me a different kind of airplane. Give me the jet plane. And the German scientists produced the jet plane. When the jet plane was produced, said, no, now the world has changed. We need what's called intercontinental ballistic missiles. So he taxed them and they produced it. So the engineer, as it is, it's a tool. So it's up to government to say, this is where we are going. How do we get there? So this is the national plan. India is on its 12th national development plan. 12. From 1960.
So we're going through this because of a lack of a national plan.
Where is our plan? Now, we talked about biomass. And then you heard the president last 2 weeks or so saying that we use 13 million tons of firewood. And I am saying here that 1 kilogram of firewood can give you 1 kilowatt hour of electricity if you gasify it. And there are plants that are available. I've got one in front of you. That this one.
Like what do you have here?
Yes, and for you to produce 1 kilowatt, you require, in fact, you don't require 1 kilogram of wood. You require actually 0.9 kilogram. But I give it to you as just one. And they require 0.001 kilogram of propane gas. Propane is from natural gas. Natural gas has 4 components. You have propane, butane, ethane, and then methane. So you require only 0.001. And then you require diesel, also 0.001. That diesel is right now about $1 per liter. And you require only 0.001 of that. I made a calculation as I was sitting down, you know, that to produce 1 kilowatt of electricity using wood should not exceed maximum 7 cents.
But you see, the use of wood brings to mind the fact that we want to protect our system as well.
You do a concurrent afforestation program as you are extracting what is already left in the bush. You have, if you are going to have, look at the land there. If you are stupid like me, The next 2-3 weeks, AJJSS people, please collect Olonka every 2 months of neem seed. We'll just broadcast it there. In 2.5 years, you have a huge energy bank. A huge energy bank, a tractor, a trailer with some chainsaw, they harvest it, and they generate the power in situ.
Okay.
You know, so the solutions are there. But meanwhile, as I'm saying, you have a lot of timber that's locked in the bush. You see, when they cut the timber, they measure the length of the trailer. Now it's either 42 feet or sometimes 48 feet. Anything after that is a waste.
Okay.
Sometimes they harvest the timber, there's some cork, the yoke inside. It's a waste. Now, these things are left in the bush, which can be collected today. And you bring in one of these plants, they are from 50 kilowatts to 1 megawatt plants.
From individual level to commercial level.
So task all the 275 districts, isn't it? Every district, you give me 10 megawatts power. You don't require much firewood for that. They will then interact and find out those who have firewood resources, and then they start. We bring one of these plants, and if 10 megawatts times 265, that will give you 2,750 megawatts in the next 6 months. If you're a serious government which is really sitting down to find out how to utilize the wood, because the wood is there. And then, as I said, concurrently, you go on into a new afforestation program. Philippines have been on wood power for about 30 years.
Okay.
And they were using the primitive system. They cut the wood, they send in the steam boiler, they raise the steam, and the steam goes into the steam turbine to produce electricity. That is a waste. See, when you gasify it, you have two chemical reactions, what they call endothermic and exothermic. So the wood gas will give you ethane gas, to give you hydrogen gas, it will give you carbon dioxide. You just pass through water, take the tar, etc., and it goes to any combustion engine, the internal combustion engine, add the generator, and you have your power.
I see. In my opinion, honestly, I believe that if individuals were to go into this, that is when it comes across as expensive. And for a private investor to do this and not be able to sell to, say, a whole community grid, it makes the business a bit tacky to be in. But if government was to take this up and give to a whole community, that will be good.
Okay, of course. So we need to plan. You know, you see, that cannot be done haphazardly. We must have a plan, and that should be part of the national development agenda. If you are going to handle this installation the way we are doing things, we will not reach anywhere.
Okay. So how available is the system? It's a company.
This system has been in operation. In 1989, United States went into power crisis, and they distributed drawings how to convert wood into wood gas for power generation. And next time, I'll give you the website for you to go and see. It's not a high-tech system. It's not something that is high-tech. But if the nation is really serious to solve this power problem, we can solve this power problem without resorting to outside help. Let me give you a simple example. You know watermelon?
Watermelon.
Okay. The whole life of the watermelon is 8 weeks. Now, when you take the watermelon, you have seed inside. That seed can give you vegetable oil. The sweet meal can give you ethanol. That white cover there is starch. If you wash the starch and then you enzyme it, that you put yeast, you can distill it for ethanol. That is 8 weeks. So give yourself 10 weeks or say 6 months. The land there in the Brown, you go there, there are tons and tons of rotten what you call watermelon, because there is no plan. Go to water region, tons and tons of watermelon, no plan. But if you had a proper plan, all these things could be assessed and properly brought into the system.
Let's get the availability of this wood chip. I'm happy that it's not just wood, but it's actually wood chippings.
Yes.
And Acquah is over the telephone. Acquah is a timber producer. Acquah. Hello, Acquah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk. But how available are these wood chippings that we need to run the system? Well, Arthur's line has dropped, unfortunately, and we have to move on to other matters, although the conversation hasn't ended. But you're seeing now a live feed from the residents of Nana Acquah. I told you from the beginning of the program that today is March 20, and it means one thing for the NPP, for Nana Acquah. He would tell us today, announce whether or not he would continue in his bid of becoming president of the country on the ticket of the NPP. Will he run 2016? We'll find out today as he announces, I'm told, at 11, and it's 11 and we are waiting for the big moment.
So that we can finish this program in as short a time as possible and get out of here because of the scorching sun. This program is being carried live both on television and on radio. On live television, we are on TV3, we are on Metro TV, we are on Multi TV. On live radio, we are on Oman FM, City FM, Peace FM, Joy FM, Happy FM, Pink FM, Hot FM, Ash FM in Kumasi, and Kesben FM in Kumasi. Ladies and gentlemen, we would want to kickstart the program in an African style by calling on somebody to give us the opening prayer. I would invite the Honorable Habib Tijani, who is the Member of Parliament, MPP for Yendi. Honorable Habib Tijani.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ومن شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا ومن يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Lord, we are gathered here this morning for a very important issue. This has to do with the future of Ghana. We know that all creation is from you, and you know what is open and what is hidden. We are asking for your guidance and protection throughout this function. وَلِلَّهُمَّ مَالِكُ الْمُلْكُ تُؤْتِي الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُنْزِلُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله والملائكة وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إثرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت المولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الحمد لله.
Right, so two-time presidential candidate of the main opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Acquah, is expected to end speculations about his political future today when he announces whether or not he will lead the NPP into election 2016. My colleague Eric Curtis Howard is on standby for us. He's joining us over the telephone now. He'll bring us up to speed what's been happening. Hello, Curtis.
Okay, hello, Kevin. Can you hear me?
I can. We realize a lot has changed since you spoke with us earlier today. Tell us what's going on, really.
Okay, at the moment, they finished with the prayer, the opening prayer, and we're just waiting for Nana Acquah to deliver his speech as to whether he's going to stand for the 2016 elections or he's not going to stand. So it's a whole lot of activities, very noisy here at the moment, that every media house you can think of in the country is represented here. And like we always do, we are taking it live. So right after the introduction, Nanado will mount the podium to deliver his address.
So say about what time are we expected to see Nana Acquah speak?
Okay, it is just about 11:06 by my watch. Latest by 11:10. In the next 4 minutes or 5 minutes, Nanado should take up the podium to deliver his address.
So with us, some of the NPP people we know that have made it to this announcement.
Yes. The NPP supporters cut across from all 10 regions, and as I spoke to some supporters earlier this morning, and they're coming. Some are coming as far away from Somali, others from the Upper East region, because they say they want to be part of this historic moment. Now, speaking to the supporters, the vibe that I got from most of them was the fact that they will not take any answer other than a yes from Nanado that he will contest in the 2016 elections. For them, it's a done deal. Nanado should not break the hearts of people. He should say he's going to contest. They're not taking any answer. Well, that's the sentiment almost everybody here at the residence of Nana Acquah is.
Eric, let's take a listen to events there, and then we'll come back to you. Thank you very much.
And yourself, or people who pretend to do so. Either way, it looks like a superfluous exercise. Nonetheless, it's an exercise that we must engage in, so I proceed to do so. Nana Acquah has been in the front line of Ghanaian politics for over 40 years. Because of his and the efforts of his colleagues who have been in this struggle and who have always believed that we should choose democracy as the path to development rather than authoritarian rule, today we are here to listen to him. Nana Acquah is the embodiment of who a true patriot is. He eats, he sleeps, and he breathes Ghana. Nana Acquah is not a fair weather politician. A politician who has different standards for different times. He's a politician who is clear in his mind at any one point the direction in which this country should go and the programs and strategies for going in that direction. And he has stood by those principles and that vision all his life. In 2008, the University for Development Studies, in line with its mandate, invited all the competing candidates in the election in 2008 to come to the University for Development Studies Nyankpala campus and give us their vision for the North. No party and no candidate, and I mean no candidate, was able to honor that invitation except Nana Acquah. And the reason they didn't honor is because they didn't have a vision or an exclusive vision for the North. We went there, and on the 25th of July 2008, we articulated our vision, which Nana Acquah called the Northern Development Authority, NODA. At that time, the sitting president, who was then a running mate to President Mills at that time, said to us that if we had 1 billion cedis to do a Northern Development Authority, we should use it to pay VRA's debts. Thereafter, when they realized that that vision was a true vision, they stole the idea, tried to clone it, and turned it into SADA. Now see how sad SADA has saddened us. Thereafter, we talk about free, quality, compulsory education from primary to secondary level. Again, they rubbished us. Today, another story is being told about Ghana's capacity to implement free SHS. This is the kind of politics I am talking about. If this country must move forward, we must avoid politicians who have different standards for different times. We need committed, competent, and visionary leadership for this country. And we don't need to look any further. Behind me, the team seated represents truly the beauty and diversity and harmony of the Ghanaian story. Behind me, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have coastal people, we have forest people, we have even inner city people with Sahelian origins. That is the kind of composition that our team has. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look around Nanado's team, those of us who run his affairs, the Mustafa Hamids, the Herbert Krappers, the Niti Wools, the CMS, Titus Glovers, the Kobis, Afekus, Ajwa Safos, this endless stream of young, dynamic, energetic people who cut across all the diverse ethnicities and religious divisions of our country, then I know that this team is truly in harmony to move our country forward. Ladies and gentlemen, people should not be in the business of politics for the sake of it. People should be in the business of politics for growing people for the development of our nation. After all, the Japan and the rest of them don't have a single mineral resource. What they have is people. So we are looking for a politician who truly has a track record of growing people. The account people say that I am your friend, I am boy. Look around all the people, the young people who are excelling in their fields of endeavor. The Yoni, the Philip Addisons, the Kwame Akufus, the Godfrey Dummies, even people sitting in the Supreme Court today were all trained by Nana Akufo. This is a man who is constantly thinking about the next generation rather than the next election. That is the kind of leadership, ladies and gentlemen, that we are looking for as a nation. This is a businessman and a philanthropist of no mean proportions. This is the man who introduced the first mobile telephony company into this country. At a time that the world thought that Africa was not ready for that technology. Today, I am sure that 3 out of every 5 or 6 Ghanaians would have a mobile phone, thanks to the visionary efforts of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Ladies and gentlemen, he would come to the podium and tell us what he envisages to be the direction of his future as far as politics is concerned. I don't know what that direction would be. I pray and I hope sincerely that he says that that direction hasn't come to an end. If he says so, I would support, and I'm sure the many of you here would support that decision. If he says he's not going to go any further in politics, today people will sleep in his bedroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you committed, competent, principled, and truly visionary leadership. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
ladies and gentlemen of the media, dignitaries and members of the New Patriotic Party, fellow Ghanaians, good morning and welcome. Thank you for accepting my invitation, even though I'm told most of you claim to know already what I'm going to say. I do hope I don't disappoint you. As you recall, I said on August the 29th, 2013, the day of the election petition verdict, that I would take some time out of the hurly-burly of politics, get some rest, reflect, and then announce what I envisage for my political future. Shortly after I made that statement, my wife and best friend, Rebecca, and I traveled to the United Kingdom, where we stayed in London for some 6 months. This gave me a lot of time to think about things. Such a long period of reflection inevitably meant taking a hard look at my life and what I have done, particularly in the period since the mid-70s, when I've been active in political life. I'm humbled by the opportunities that I've had to contribute to the development of our nation. From the struggle against military dictatorship, through protecting the rights of ordinary Ghanaians in the law courts and on the streets, to the consolidation of our democracy and the projection of our national interests. First, in building the New Patriotic Party, and also as a Member of Parliament and Cabinet Minister. Even though I will forever regret that I could not lead the party to victory in 2008 and could not secure a declaration of victory in 2012, the party can be proud of what we have been able to achieve together for Ghana and by extension Africa as a whole. Despite all the controversy that bedeviled the 2012 presidential election, we in the NPP showed responsible citizenship and put the nation first before our desire for power, of our love of Ghana. We showed that it is possible and indeed desirable to play by the rules, even if it leads to unfavorable results for you. We might have lost the 2012 battle, but when the history of this period is told, I am confident that it will be most favorable to the NPP. Already, Ghana's image as a peaceful, stable democracy has been greatly enhanced by the path the NPP took after the controversial 2012 elections to settle the electoral dispute in court and accept the decision of the court as final. I am proud to be a member of this great party. And I'm grateful to have been given 2 opportunities so far to lead it. In trying to come to a decision, I ask the Almighty for His continuing guidance. I thought about the battles we as a people have fought to get us to where we are today in a nation governed by a constitution. I thought of the many people with whom I've been in some of these battles and the loyalty and hard work that we came to take for granted each other. I thought especially of elections when I was privileged to be the presidential candidate of my party. I thought about how lucky I was to have this brilliant young economist, Muhammadu Buhari, as my running mate in those two elections. I have been humbled by the loyalty, the confidence and trust that millions of Ghanaians have given to me. I thought about the huge disappointment that our loss brought to us all. I thought about the passing of time and the fact that I shall be 70 years old in a few days' time. I have asked hard questions of myself and of my and I have taken the opportunity to see my doctors both here in Ghana and in the United Kingdom. I examined my government and the fire that burns in my belly with a desire to lead Ghana. To think about the lessons of history and the examples of other countries and how such lessons might impact on the current state of Ghana. I had long discussions with Rebecca and my daughters and some of the people who have been a source of unflinching support before coming to a decision. In constant contact with Ghana while I was away in England. I received daily phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and regular visits from Ghanaians from different parts of the world, from every region in Ghana, young and old, men and women, great and small. The message was unanimous. They all urged me to remain in frontline politics and to seek the candidacy of my party for the 2016 presidential election of Ghana. The message from MPP members was along the lines, quote, "You, Nanado, remain our best chance for 2016. Ghanaians are telling us we should bring you back." The message from Ghanaians who are not MPP members, including supporters of other political parties, can be summed up as, "We have heard your message. We know who you are and what you stand for, and we're ready to vote for you in our numbers in 2016. In spite of all the disappointments of the last few years, I cannot ignore these calls, especially when, among those urging me to run, are those who admit to supporting my opponents in previous contests, whether within the MPP or in national elections. My wife and I arrived back in Ghana a fortnight ago, sure of the decision we have taken regarding my future politics. Since getting back, I have, as custom demands, spent my time going around the elders of the party and a few other people to inform them of my decision before going public. I'm happy to say that the message was positively received. I have been greatly by the confidence that many Ghanaians from all walks of life, especially young people, some of whom are yet to cast their first ballot, have in me. I am profoundly grateful that so many people consider me worthy to lead this promising nation of ours, even at the young age of 70. Fortunately for me, I chose two careers where there's no retirement age: law and politics. I thank the Almighty God that I'm able to say that I feel spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, physically, and patriotically strong enough to remain in the hurly-burly of frontline politics. With great humility, therefore, I can announce that when the party opens nominations sometime this year, I shall be ready, God willing.
Thank you very much for staying on Joy News. Now, you've been watching the two-time presidential candidate of the main opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, announce his political future. It says when the NPP opens nominations for candidacy, well, he would lead the frontline politics. Now, we'll bring you more on that, and you should just stay on. My colleague Eric Etisawo to join us over the telephone, and then also we would find out what Nana's real chances are in that race in a moment. But we're facing some challenges now. We're unable to bring you that the continuous live feed. But hello, Curtis. Well, I understand we do not have him over the telephone, but I'll just share with you some of the things Nana said. Nana said that he's fortunate to have chosen two careers that do not have retirement, and I'm sure you understand what he meant by that. He's a lawyer by profession and a politician as well. And when it comes to those two careers, there is no retirement. He says he's young, 70-year. I really don't know how to say that, but 70 years young, and well, that is no stopping for Nana. But Eric Etisawo has joined us over the telephone. Hello, Eric. Really, we hear the noise in the background. Tell us what is happening now. We've lost the feed.
Okay, Nana has actually confirmed that he's going to contest the 2016, he's going to contest the NPP leadership contest. That is sometime this year, God willing. So he's made that confirmation that his political future, so yes, he's going to give you one more chance to contest
Right. Eric, we're going to come back to you and pick some reactions from the people who are gathered, but we have our feed now.
And some people will get carried away in the course of arguments. But there is no single issue in our party that we cannot resolve amicably as a family. The parties to the issue. We have done very well over the last 4 months under challenging conditions to hold elections, to choose some 140,000 officers to prosecute our 2016 campaign. No party in Ghana has been able to achieve this feat. I expect none will do so in the foreseeable future. We have and plenty more to look forward to. Let us focus on the bigger picture and complete satisfactorily the process of choosing national officers on April 12th in Tamale. Let us keep our party buoyant and healthy to make it more and more attractive to the many disillusioned Ghanaians out there looking for a credible alternative to the NDC. Let us protect the dignity of the MPP in all that we do or say. We do not have to compete in attracting negative publicity to ourselves. They are quite capable of managing that on their own with their incompetence. The duty of an opposition party is to keep the government on its toes and not on each other's toes. We must have mutual respect. And that is the one principle that I wish to see guiding the way we do things in the NPP. I am particularly attracted by then Governor Ronald Reagan's dictum, and I quote, he's a Republican, he was a Republican, "Thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican," unquote. We have a strong and ever-growing party of competent men and women. Every day, more and more people who care deeply about the direction that the current administration is taking the country are joining our party. Let us make such people feel welcome and confident that they made the right choice with the NPP. In spite of all the propaganda against us, the facts are clear that NPP is as diverse as the country that we are in politics to serve. Let me make reference to one of the interesting statistics that emerged from the work by the formidable Mahamudu Bawumia in compiling our case for the election petition. In many of the places that we were supposed to have lost, the gap between our votes and that of the NDC was abnormally high. It is our duty, therefore, to close that gap. By two. First, we intend to win the votes of the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians. And secondly, we shall protect those votes at every level to the point of declaration. I have no desire to lead the NPP into another election petition in 2016. I certainly do not want to take election grievances to the streets either. I prefer we begin today to do the things that will greatly diminish any potential need to go to court. That means we want an election in which the results will be beyond dispute and will be accepted by all. That means we must secure the reforms that are necessary to enhance the integrity of the electoral system and the people who work for the system, the electoral officers. We need to ensure the integrity of the electoral process so that we can concentrate on what matters most, enhancing the lives of the people. The biggest threat to our democracy is the potential loss of confidence in the democratic system and the takeover of fear where there used to be hope. People see all around them corruption, economic hardships, falling standards in education, inefficient public service system, joblessness for the youth, and insecurity. There is a wide gap between what some politicians promise and what they deliver. That is dangerous for all of us. We need to restore hope and confidence in our young people. We need to restore hope and confidence in the leadership of the nation. Every child must have the best education that this nation can provide. We need to offer young people hope, education, and skills, jobs with. We can no longer postpone the need for the structural transformation of our economy. Our current raw material producing economy is incapable of generating the jobs that our young people need and deserve. It is vital that we put in place a comprehensive, systematic program for the industrialization of Ghana, so that by the end of the next decade, industrial products, not raw materials, will dominate Ghana's economy. We need to work out the fiscal, monetary, and technological that can stimulate local production of goods and services by the private sector. That is the way to deal with widespread unemployment and low wages. That is the program that the NPP, God willing, under my leadership, will be committed to delivering. Alas, all of this hinges on fixing our energy situation. Nothing must be spared to fix it. We cannot continue blaming an act of God or Nigerians for our predicament.
So he said it, he will run in the race for candidacy for the NPP, and he would hopefully want to lead the party election 2016. We're joined over the telephone by Dr. Evans Agri Dako. He's a political scientist. Hello, Doctor. Dr. Dako.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us on Joy News. But are you surprised?
Not at all.
Not
at all. I had indicated yesterday or last night that, and long time ago, that certainly he will want to contest. He decided to reflect. He decided to seek some advice. He decided to consult with some key actors in the party and outside the party. And I think that he's convinced beyond reasonable doubt that he can contest. So I am not surprised at all that he contested.
Nana gives us the impression that he's looking forward to some people contesting for the candidacy as well. Would we see this also be just an unopposed candidacy, or we should expect some people to come up as well, considering that earlier there were some people who were calling that Nana shouldn't go for 2016?
Well, it's most likely others are going to contest him. And if they contest him, I don't see anything wrong with that. The party itself must continue to exhibit the traits of a democratic institution. Of course, that is what the Constitution enjoins all the key institutions to do. And so if parties or individuals within the party decide to contest him in elections, for me, it will be within their right to do so. What it also does is that it even legitimizes, it further legitimizes the candidature of whoever then becomes the flag bearer, having maybe gone through what I will call the test of acceptability, you understand? So that then will strengthen the person's hand and then perhaps further resolve that, well, since you have the rank and file behind you after maybe a very stiff opposition, maybe others decide contest then it strengthens you to be able to lead the party, coming going forward to contest in the 2016 general election. Yes.
What are the implications of this for the NPP?
Well, for me, if you look at a party which has won power in this country and ruled for 8 years, you cannot disregard such a party like that, even if they decided to field even an unknown candidate. Because the party machinery behind any individual that person will be enforced to reckon with in any election in this country. Of course, Nanado is well known. If you look at his background, he has impeccable and solid credentials. He's known within the party. He's known across the length and breadth of this country. We know him to be very decisive. We know him, not to be a timorous soul, that he's capable of taking decisive, action. Because if you become a leader, one of the surest way by which you can govern effectively is to take the decisions that were near to the broad masses of the people, using what I would call a utilitarian principle. How will the majority benefit from the decisions you make, without necessarily compromising your ability to cruise the ranks of the key actors within your party. And of course, so for me, I think that the party will then find it a bit easier to market him. Some will argue that you don't send a rejected cassava back to the market. But hey, in politics, if the person is known, it's an asset. Because the more you fill the person, the more he gets exposed, and the more people are likely to take, his background among others. And he suffered that in the 2008 and then the 2012 general election. So you see that the opposition would have perhaps exhausted all his, negatives or ifs and buts. And of course, as we live every day, we are likely to encounter new difficulties which may undermine our records as we move on. But by and large, you see him as a credible candidate that the party will find it a lot more easier to market, in 2016. Yes.
Right. So this will necessarily mean less work for the NPP. But should people come against Nanajo for the candidature, do they have real chances at all?
Can you come again, please?
I'm asking, should some NPP persons decide to come up against Nanado for the candidature when nominations open for it, what will be their real chances?
What would it be?
What would be their real chances for those who would contest him during the nominations?
I think that if Nanado, now that he's decided to contest the primary, I think that he's going to win hands down. That's what I think. He will win hands down. But it doesn't mean, you don't go into a contest only to win. Okay? Sometimes some actors decide to contest him because they also will put forth their candidature as very credible. It's a way of you also marketing yourself to the party and the rank and file. And so that even if the key actor is not there one day, you will still stand tall and be able to influence decisions within the party. So it's not everybody who contests who really want to win. Some people even look at it and they see that they don't even have mathematical chance of winning, yet they go in. It's a way of marketing yourself to the party and putting yourself very close to the center of decision making within the party, and then subsequently you then become one of the prime movers, if you like, in the scheme of things of the party. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agridako. That's all time will allow us for. Right, Dr. Evans Agridako is a political scientist, and we've been discussing Nanado's. He's showing interest again to go for election 2016. As far as the NPP is concerned. And well, thank you very much for staying with us on Joy News. But on News Today, Ahmed Today, which is about 15 minutes away, we'll deal more with this. Make time to watch us. Enjoy the rest of our broadcast. I'll see you again soon. Bye.